We're back talking SEC football here on Southeastern 16. I'm Chase Robinson as we continue with our bold predictions heading into the 2024 college football season. Today, we're going to look at three bold predictions for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Yeah, and a new era of Alabama football. So we will talk about that in just a second. After we talk about Bet Online, they are the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything online sports betting. Right now, you can receive a 50% free bet of up to $250 on your first deposit to bet on anything from the Olympics to baseball to Formula One racing. Bet Online has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, head over to the online casino, get in on a game of blackjack or poker or one of the over 150 slots games. You can head over to the website today to get in on the action. Use promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your 50% free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. That is promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV. Bet Online. The game starts here. So for Alabama, how strange is it going to be this year without Nick Saban on the sidelines? You'll have Kalen DeBoer leading the charge for the Alabama Crimson Tide. A new staff, some new faces on the team as well. Really looking forward to seeing what Alabama is like post Nick Saban. 17 seasons we've seen Nick Saban on the sideline, and we will not this year. But it should be a fun year for the Crimson Tide, who are getting a lot of preseason love, and I think very well could be a college football playoff team. So here are three bold predictions heading into 2024 Alabama football season. First, and I think kind of a lot of the talk this year is about Jalen Milroe. My bold prediction, Jalen Milroe has 4,500 total yards. So last season, he finished with 3,700 total offensive yards last year. Throwing the ball, he had a nice 2,834 yards passing. Then he ran last year for 877 yards. So again, most of his yards coming in the air, but he had quite a few yards on the ground as well. Now this year, why that's a bold prediction of getting 4,500 yards is he doesn't quite have the receiving core that he had a year ago. There's good receivers this year, there's no doubt. I mean, you look at it, you got Jeremy Bernard, who had a good spring. You've got Kendrick Law. You've got Kobe Prentice, who are all good receivers, but I feel like he doesn't quite have the receiving room that he did a year ago. And so you think of guys like Isaiah Bond, who transferred out and has ended up at Texas, and Jermaine Burton, who's left, tight end Amari Niblack, Malik Benson, and some of these guys who were on the roster last year who were really good for Alabama. They don't quite have that big target at receiver yet. So I think it'll be a little harder for Jalen Milroe to get the big yards, but this is an offense, a pass-heavy offense, which I think we're going to see a lot of Milroe's arm this year. So my bold prediction, we see Jalen Milroe with 4,500 plus total yards this season. Staying on offense for a second, when Jam Miller expected to be the starting running back for the Crimson Tide, I say Jam Miller averages 6.5 yards per carry. I think he could be a dynamic running back this year. Last year, he averaged around 4.9 per carry, but we're going to see Jam Miller a lot this year. And I say 6.5 yards per carry is my bold prediction there for Jam Miller. And again, we'll have to wait and see how the offense looks. If Milroe is going to run a lot, or if he's going to be throwing the ball a lot in this Kalen DeBoer offense. But I know Jam Miller will get a lot of runs. Justice Hayes is another guy that'll get a lot of runs for the Crimson Tide. But my bold prediction, Jam Miller, 6.5 yards per carry is what he averages this year for the Crimson Tide. Again, should be a really dynamic offensive team there for Alabama. My third bold prediction, I move over to the defensive side of the ball, and that is Alabama has the most interceptions in the SEC. Last year, they finished, there was quite a few teams that ended up with 12 interceptions. So they were fourth or fifth on the list of interceptions last year. But I really like Malachi Moore and Keon Sabb there in the back of the defense. I think they're going to do some damage back there in the safety positions. Then at the corners, you got Jalil Hurley and Damani Jackson. I think those guys are really good as well. So my bold prediction is Alabama has the most interceptions, leads the SEC in interceptions at the end of the season. But again, this is kind of a defense in progress, if you will. You watched the spring game. A lot of people weren't impressed with the Alabama defense, but I like Kane Womack, the scheme that he has, changing things up a little bit than what we're kind of used to seeing with the Alabama Crimson Tide. But regardless, still should be fun to watch as they kind of change this 4-2-5 defense that Kane Womack is bringing in there at Alabama. But that's my third bold prediction there, that Alabama leads the SEC in the most interceptions at the end of the season. So my three bold predictions for the Tide: Jalen Milroe has 4,500 plus total yards. Jam Miller averages 6.5 yards per carry. And the Alabama Crimson Tide will have the most interceptions of any team in the SEC by the end of the season. So those are my three bold predictions for what will be an interesting Alabama football season coming up. Of course, they made the playoff last year, losing in the semifinals to Michigan. They're a team that most people have when you look at the projections of the college football playoff this year. One of several potential SEC teams in the college football playoff as Kalen DeBoer leads the Crimson Tide into year one there in Tuscaloosa. They will begin the season on August 31st as they host Western Kentucky. First SEC game will be September 28th against Georgia. So that's three bold predictions for the Alabama Crimson Tide. We're doing this for all of the SEC teams. So go ahead and subscribe to the Southeastern 16 YouTube channel, and you'll be able to see all the bold predictions we have on all 16 SEC teams. We also have extensive team previews for every team, schedule previews for every team, and including weekly shows in there as well on football, basketball, and baseball. So we've got you covered here at Southeastern 16. If you'd like to sponsor our content, reach out to me, Chase at southeastern14.com or caroline.smith at southeastern14.com, and we can begin those conversations about how you can sponsor our content here at Southeastern 16. We talk SEC sports 365 days a year, and we'll be back with more SEC football coverage here on Southeastern 16.